Okay, I think we are live. I will wait a few minutes for people to come in to the stream, and then we will start off with a brief intro on what we're doing, and then we will start off with the demos. So, um, it's 10:01. I'll give it till 10:02 before I start talking about anything. And then we'll just kind of wait around for a little bit. So if you are in the room, I see there's a few of you in the room. Drop us a comment. Tell us, where you're from. Tell us what you're building. Tell us what you're working on. We'd love to know. As a quick intro for me, I'm from Seattle. I'm in Seattle, although I'm also in the Bay a lot. And I mostly work on on getting demos, on getting events, and all of this stuff. So, perfect. We'll get started. All right, let's see. Someone says, I'm a judge. Do you want to put my instructions? Well, sure. Why not? This is mostly meant for the audience to say a little bit about who they are, where they're from. Oh, hey, Arjun. Or I don't know who's running the Retriever account. I assume it's you, Arjun. You should have received an email with a link to the studio, so you can actually come backstage. Or is that, someone came in and then came out? Okay. Okay, so it's 10:02. Yes. So it's 10:02. I'll kind of give a quick introduction to what we're doing, why we're doing it, and then we'll just move directly into the demos. So first thing is I'll introduce myself. My name is Yujin. I had created this OSS for AI community back in 2024, in January of 2024. And we have grown now to, you see this this picture here that says we've done 182 events with 28,000 tickets and 27,000 subscribers. This is no longer accurate. These numbers have gone up a lot. We're now at 33,000 subscribers. We've done 185 events now. And you'll see here this insights up here. This is about the subreddit, right? So today's event is demos from our subreddit community. And you can see that our subreddit has grown like crazy over the past couple of years. So I started this subreddit back in April of 2023. This was back when, a few months after ChatGPT came out, one of the most popular things for people to build was RAG applications. And I really thought to myself, there's not that much to do with RAG applications. I mean, there's a lot when you dive into it. There's a lot of optimization. But in terms of what's interesting and available for people at a wider audience, there wasn't. But then there was this thing called agents, which I don't think it had even really gotten the name agents yet. But the idea of having an autonomous AI, system was there. And so I decided that I was going to start this subreddit because what's a better way to have a third-party neutral forum than to do something on Reddit? So I started this subreddit on April 28th of 2023. We hit 1,000 days in January. But for the first year, we had a total of 1,000 people join us. Really nothing happening in April of 2024. And between April of 2024 and April of 2025, we had this crazy jump where we hit 100,000 members in 2025. And now, as you can see, recently we've hit 300,000 members, and we are doing more than 4 million views a month now. So this community has really grown, and I'm really excited to see all of the projects that have came out of this community. And like I said in the original email, or in the email out to the guests about why we moved away from Discord and moved on to YouTube, it is because we originally planned, I thought there was going to be 15 people and there was going to be 10 submissions, and that was not the case. So we had 500 some people sign up for this event. And I was like, well, we clearly can't fit 500 people into a Discord, so we're going to do a StreamYard. And we had like 37 or 38 project submissions, which was also crazy to me because I checked on Sunday and I saw like 12, and I was like, oh, okay, this is good. And then I checked again on Tuesday when I was, going through all the demos, and I was like, oh my God, there's like more than 30 demo submissions, which is great, actually. I'm really, really excited that so many people are building things and have decided that it's worth their time to, submit a request to come and demo to this community. So with that said, I wanted to pick only 5 because I was like, okay, let's do it in an hour. Let's give everyone 10 minutes. But I ended up picking 7 because they were so good. And there were like 10 that I wanted to choose. So it was actually really hard to pare it down. But I ended up choosing 7 of these demos. We chose these demos basically because we saw that there was response from the community. There were people, I asked you to submit a link to your demo, to your submission, basically. So I saw there was a response from the community about it. People had interacted with it, people had upvoted, people had commented, something like that. And then B, there were people who were actually using the application. So all of the demos today, you'll see that are from people who are building the application that there are others using, which is just incredible. Actually, this is one of the hardest parts of building a startup, building a business, is getting people onto your application. And then number 3, there's actually, I think everyone, I don't know if everyone, but most of the demos you'll see have people already paying for them. They have customers. So these are driving real world value already. So I think we have some really, really high quality demos today. And then we have, I think it's 10, it might be 11, 10 or 11 industry judges. And all of these judges are extremely, experienced in the industry. They know what they're doing. We have a lot of people who are tech professionals who have spent years building software in enterprise companies. And then we have, I think we have one startup founder who is an A16Z speedrun founder as well. That's enough rambling for me. Let me tell you about the format of the demos. Each demo slot will be 10 minutes, and there will be essentially what I would like you to do as a demoer is I would like you to have 5-minute demo session and then leave 5 minutes for questions from the audience and the judges. So I was originally going to say just from the judges because we were going to do a Discord stage, but this is really an open audience. So if the audience would like to ask questions, go ahead and ask questions. So the first demo that we're going to see today is Rover from Arjun Chintapalli. Okay, let me see where you are, Arjun. All right, so everyone, please welcome Arjun to the stage. I'm going to take myself off now, and your 10 minutes will start. And I'll give you a brief ping in the private chat, so you'll see like a thing pop up when you have 5 minutes left. So best of luck. Let's see what you built.
Thank you, Eugene. Nice meeting you again. Yeah, guys, so I'm Arjun. I'm the founder of Retriever AI, and we're building a AI web agent platform to automate tasks and vibe scrape data. So you can think with the Chrome extension we have to scrape data like from LinkedIn, places that are hard to automate outside of your own browser. And a little bit of background, I used to work at Google pioneering vertical federated learning. So how to train models on data from like Google Search, Google Ads, third-party websites, and to train those models and then serve those models on billions of dollars of ad traffic. So most of those models were served on those websites by embedding like a script. You can think like CNN has ads. And we were pioneering a DOM-only web agent, so not using any screenshots, and everybody else in the space is using training huge models, custom training on these computer use training data. But we were like, hey, these are large language models. They want semantic understanding of the pages that will give the best performance. And so we have like a DOM-only setup. And so we have 20,000 users, we have an extension, we have a cloud platform, and we just launched Rover. Rover is a embeddable web agent on your own site. So you can just add a script tag to your own site, and you will then have a chat widget on there that can take actions. So, for example, I can just demo it on our own site. So there's no integration, no code integration, no API, and you can give like a command like, "Hey, go to this page and like put in this query." So the goal here is, compared to existing chat widgets that can only answer questions, ours can take actions on your website. And this is based on our state of the art leading DOM only performance, where we beat even OpenAI operator, browser use, all of them in accuracy, 7 times faster, 11 times cheaper. And like the agent executes even while you switch tabs and are away. So, the so we're targeting use cases like onboarding. You can think there's could be complex UI software like CRMs where you have to go through 20 different drop downs and to do like one workflow. But that's pretty straightforward for the agent to do. And you could also think conversational checkout. So if a user is like, "Hey, go search for these items," and then like add them to the cart, and you as a website owner don't need to take any custom setup. And so like within a couple of seconds we gave this query, it came here, typed, put in the prompt, and did actions on your own website. So yeah, that's like a high level what we're trying to do automating checkout, form filling, and just broadly re-engage your customer, because there's going to be Gemini and Chrome, all of these browser level agents, and your users might use them instead. But like Gemini and Chrome can redirect your user from your site to your competitor site, for example. So you need a browser, you need an agent in your own website, so that to retain that user, engage that user in your website, so you're not just disintermediated and you don't lose customers, existing customers that are on your site, as well as engage and retain the 20% of web traffic that just drops off from your site, because people don't want to figure out all of these complexities, how to use your site. And it just, yeah, so that's what we're trying to do, build like an agentic web on top of this cloud extension and API platform. And the cool thing is, while I showed here, there was like a cloud browser we spun up and shown an action being taken, we can also do that with our embeddable, so that if you have cross-domain actions, like we can spin up a cloud browser, and maybe you need to do like a site action on another site, and the user can see that being happening. So there's a limitless potential with this embedded web agent. We just launched yesterday or 2 days ago, and we were number 3 on Product Hunt. So we're excited for the future. And yeah, I think that's it. Think I can just maybe if I miss something. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm good to answer questions, Yujin.
Great. I've opened up the thing for questions. Someone says, "What does it do in a simpler language, like in plain English?"
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Maybe I should have. So you can imagine a chat widget on your own site that can type, click, select, do actions on your web page. So existing chat widgets, they can only answer questions, or they can raise a support ticket, call APIs. Ours is the first one that is a web agent that can take actions on your website just by adding like a script tag to your website.
Someone has quite a few questions. How does the UI decide which actions to take automatically versus when to ask for clarifications? And what happens if a site layout changes? Does it work out of the box if you change your site layout?
Yeah. So the way we did it this way is that it lives on top of your website, so you don't need to do any integration, and it can automatically adapt to all of your code changes. So it just reads the current page structure. So our leading performance is because we read the DOM and construct trees to represent the web page, and those trees are impervious to website updates, so that you could this website layout could change, the button couldn't be there. Everything it figures out on the fly, what actions to take. And it can ask for feedback, for follow-up questions, and get more user input. That's like hasn't been an issue of it not being able to figure it out. So we have a Chrome extension that we've had out for like a year now, of leading performance of over 20,000 users. So we kind of know the range of queries that usually come in and how to handle them, and so we're pretty familiar with what to do.
Someone says, hey, cool demo. Can you customize the guardrails on the actions that the, I guess, agent can take on the website? And can it be exposed to vulnerabilities such as cross-scripting or any other vulnerabilities?
Yeah, you can. So when you create the rover for your own web page, you can configure what actions to take, as well as the cross-host policy. But the main ways to configure security and is that you can customize which URL paths to actually embed it on. So it can only show up and take actions on the ones that you've configured it to. Um, in terms of cross scripting, it's very secure in that it can take actions on the web, on your own web page, on even cross origin iframes. So you can think there could be like a ad iframe you have on your website that Rover can't interact with. It can only interact with your own website and things iframes from your own domain.
Next question is, what about customer PII? Will the agent have access to that, or is there a way to restrict access to customer PII?
Yeah, I think you can. The way I would say to get around that is that not not embed Rover on your website URLs with sensitive data. We are trying to go through SOC 2 compliance, so if that clears up the concerns, the data we process on our own side. Yeah, I think that those are the two main ways we see of solving that solution.
Okay. I think this will be the last question that we have time to answer. If OpenAI or Google release a native browser agent tomorrow, why would your best customers still choose you?
Yeah, I was trying to cover this actually. It's that if you have a browser level agent, your users are going to be you as a website owner. Your users are going to be focused on that browser level agent, and they're not going to be focused on your website at all. And that browser level agent can actually like do a lot of things. It can be like it can recommend your competitor sites on your site. So even if a user lands on your site that you fought so hard to get, Google's agent could just route them to your competitor, which is like makes you exposed, right? So when I explain it like that, most website owners are like, yeah, I need this agent like interface on my own website to keep my users on my website instead of being disintermediated at the browser level. And we are thinking we'll be like the glue for the website. From this script, we can host the WebMCP protocol so that Google's browser level agent would actually hand off queries to this website specific agent, because we'll have more knowledge bases, tools, all of these things that the website owner can configure with. And because WebMC requires you to expose actions per page, which is a lot of setup, but ours can do it on the fly and do all this. So we can see it as a glue in between both. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Arjun. There's a few more questions in the chat. I'll let you kind of answer those separately.
Okay.
We'll move on to our next demo, which is Secura by Utsav Patak.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
If you have your share screen, you can share and I'll take it up to the stage.
Okay, perfect. Yep. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yep. So is there a lag? So, hi everyone, I'm Utsav, and we are building AI agents for physical security. Security is usually a very niche department that most people don't get in. And for the longest period of time, we have been seeing YOLO models being used to detect objects and guns and all these things. And honestly, like that raises a lot of false alarms. So we thought when VLMs came in, we thought let's integrate VLMs to security cameras, and that's how we got into this. So what we essentially do is we have a pre-processing pipeline that we connect to the cameras, which helps us bring down the cost of ingesting video feeds from approximately $1,800 on a bigger VLM to $12, because we are able to analyze what parts do we need to send to VLMs and what we don't. Then we build a context around multiple cameras. So we connect thousands of data points, facial data, vehicles, number plates, objects, and we connect them, just like a security investigator would. And then we have built a reasoning agent on top of it, which connects all these data points and continuously learns in the process before giving an analysis. So let me show you a staged demo of our product. So this is a stage demo that we recorded in our uh, building. So there are four cameras that we had. So you can see a guy steps out of the car here, and one guy is scouting over here. He enters the building, and the minute he starts banging on the door, kicks it, an alert is raised. This all happens within, any alert that we claim happens within the first 30 seconds. Then you see him changing his clothes here, and he's wearing a white hoodie, transitioning from a black piece of clothing to a white piece of clothing. Now that is recorded, and the camera 4 notifies it to other cameras that the suspect which initially entered has now changed its clothes to that. So now there's still active tracking across other cameras. So essentially, imagine all the cameras are in a single group chat and they're talking to each other continuously. Now, this is the live part of it. There are other parts where you can forensically query the video footage. So just ask what happened in terms of the security footage from this time to this time, and it would go through all the video footage, connect the data points, and uh, so physically, if you do not have a PTZ camera which has physical zoom in, we cut out those particular pixels, crop the facial data. Every claim is back with the camera number and the timestamp, and then you can see it helps the security operators investigate. This is for the live part of it. Now let's say people have pre-recorded video footage. So in that sense, you just upload any video footage. We have benchmarked it, so upload up to 1 hour of video footage that can be analyzed in 4 minutes, because we do a lot of parallelizations in the backend. It generates a report for you in real time for the entire video footage. So you just click and download the report PDF, which makes it much easier for law enforcement to review and file for cases. So you have the report structured in a particular format. And then, just like ChatGPT, you ask questions to your videos. It would use state-of-the-art models, do a lot of processing on them, and then give you a complete detail about all the suspects involved, what were they wearing, the specific crops of those parts, where they came in, what they exactly did. And yeah, that's what Secura does right now. Thank you.
That's great. Let's see if we have questions from the judges or the audience. First question, what AI models are used for detection? Object detection, facial recognition, anomaly detection, behavior analytics?
Sure. So we use, if we are tracking a very specific object, in that case, we run a YOLO V8. But if you know the object, in case of facial recognition, we use a facial recognition algorithm as well. We develop a knowledge graph in behind all the cameras. So all the cameras have a common sharing of knowledge graph. If the customer does not have a problem in sharing their data, so we use open source model in that case, like Google Gemini. But if the customer is concerned about having their data on their premise, in that case, we run models locally on Amazon. So we use Quen and Llama in that case. Yeah.
Next question is, what is your DCM strategy? Who are you planning to sell to?
So initially, we are planning to sell to private security firms. So these are security firms which protect residential apartments as well as security complexes and office spaces. We are already working with two. So we started in, so the product got ready in December. Since then, we have signed two retail spaces, both protected by private security firms. We are doing $5,000 ARR with that. And then we have one new private security firm that we signed this month. So we are still doing our SOC and ISO compliance. Once we do that, they have about 600 cameras here in Chicago. So we'll be deploying with them. So private security firms to start with, but once we reach about 1,500 to 2,000 cameras, then we are switching to providing APIs for hardware manufacturers.
Very cool. What are some of the metrics customers would use to measure success?
So the number one metric is the amount of time that they are able to save. So the average reporting time in the US is 5 minutes to 20 minutes, as per the FBI and Kansas City Police benchmarks. So bringing down the reporting time from 5 minutes to 30 seconds, the value prop behind that is a victim's critical survival window, which means a case in which a person has been shot is 10 minutes. So every 5 minutes a person has been shot, their survival rate decreases by 50%. So in 10 minutes, a person who has been shot is basically dead. But because we are claiming that we can bring down this reporting time to 30 seconds, which means we can address the critical survival window, and therefore we could potentially send the police as well as the first aid in time, and thereby saving lives. Did benchmark this as well. So I can show you the exact amount that you can save. So let's say that we are deployed on all cameras in the US itself. In case of shootings, we'll be able to, our precision rate is 93%, and we'll be able to save 2,300 lives annually. In case of assaults, we'll be able to save 6,000 lives annually. And in case of thefts, we'll be able to save $6.8 billion annually. The theft data comes from the NRF report, which is the National Retail Federation. The precision numbers come from, we tested on UCF crime data set, which is the world's largest crime data set of CCTVs, which is about 7,000 videos.
Okay, there's a few questions that are similar here, which is things like, how do you test the trustworthiness, like false positives? How do you basically, it requires high precision, less false positives, and then benchmarks and stuff like that. I think you just showed a couple of those benchmarks. But I think this will be the last question. How do you make sure that you have a trustworthy result and reduce the number of false positives?
Sure. So we initially, whenever we deploy with the clients, we have an operator in the loop feedback as well. So we have measured that with the deployments that we have had, we did pilot of about 200 cameras. In that case, our false positives were about 2%. So, and every time a false positive is encountered, you can just a thumbs up or thumbs down, just like Reddit, a person can thumbs up or thumbs down on an alert, and then that would get into the loop and we would fix that. Uh, it is more about the false negatives. That is where that the bigger problem is. The false negative currently is about 2.3% when we tested in the end of January, but we are looking to improve that over time.
Very cool. Okay, there's a few more questions in the chat. You can address those separately. We're going to move on to our next demo. Thank you, Sav. Our next demo will be from George Fahmy, who is the founder of Stakpak, and he'll be demoing Stakpak Autopilot.
Hey, thanks, Sujam, for having me. Yeah. Okay, I'm not sure if you can hear me.
We can hear you. I took myself off the stage already.
Okay, great. So yeah, imagine if you can trust OpenClaw to run your infrastructure. This is exactly what we're trying to do with Stakpak Autopilot. So it's basically 3 steps. You install the agent. It's all open source. You do Stakpak in it. It understands, it runs an automated analysis with tens of sandbox sub agents that understand your apps, your infrastructure, how everything works. And then you do Stakpak up, and it just like that, it monitors the infrastructure 24/7. So to show you this in action, I vibe coded an app called XYOS Cafe. Let's generate some load. So here you can see XYOS Cafe started getting more and more requests. in the initially, like we're simulating like a trickle of morning coffee orders, and then a lunch rush wave where like 500 orders come at a time. You see the barista is starting to sweat and like getting all nervous as things ramp up. And this application is intentionally leaking memory. So like after a while here, you would see, okay, it's already going crazy. I think about like 5,000 orders, it starts losing it. And now the happy hour. Going crazy. Yeah, now it's down. So what's happening in the background is Stakpak up is already running. It already like analyzed the application with Stakpak in it, suggested a couple of schedules or things it would like to keep an eye for, and set up these checks. Here you can see like it's live running, monitoring the application, and triggering the agent whenever something goes wrong. And you see here already, it detected the issue. So it figured out like XYOS Cafe container is not running, reported this on Slack, starting running some tool commands autonomously, figured out the root cause is actually JavaScript out of memory. So the process was OOM'd. So it's starting to start up the container again. So the app is already live again. Meanwhile, it's still keeping an eye for the application, making sure everything is working and fine before concluding this with like a report of what happened, like in the whole like incident report. So this is uniquely different because it actually is proactive. Like it decides what it should watch for in your infrastructure, regardless of what kind of observability infrastructure tools you're running already. And it sets these checks, it triggers, and it actually has the authority to run stuff. Like here, for example, like it was able to restart the container, bring the app back online within like a minute of it going haywire. And finally, it compiles a report all while we sleep. So I didn't need to be on call for this to happen. And yeah, I imagine you definitely have a lot of questions about security. So yeah, this is the main thing we do. So we'd love to answer these. There's a whole like section about like security, sandboxing, how this stuff works, and how we actually prevent it from destroying stuff. But yeah, I'm just waiting for the report. So you can ask me any questions while we're waiting for like Stakpak Autopilot to bring back the incident report.
Great. Thanks for the demo, George. Judges, audience, please feel free to ask questions. We already have a couple. So Daniel Green asks, how is this not dangerous? And he also, I don't trust Claude to run on autopilot. And Jennifer says +1.
Yes, exactly. So this is what we exactly did here. So I have a whole like big blog post about like the security or the threat model of these agents running infrastructure. And this is actually what we started doing with Stakpak first, because before making this more autonomous. So we have multiple layers of security. One of them, like most of this stuff is already open source. You can check it on the repository. I think it's linked here. Yeah, you can click on this link on our website. I'll post the link in the chat. But mainly there's a network sandbox, and this is an application level sandbox. So this intercepts all the requests made by the agents. So it can use the AWS CLI, it can use Terraform, can use whatever it wants to use to work with your infrastructure. And it can actually block like destructive operations. So here I can ask it to list my EC2s. So this is like running Stakpak in interactive mode. And you'd see it's able to list my EC2s with the AWS CLI. Let me make this a bit bigger. And then I can ask it to nuke one of them. You can see the secret substitution is already working. Like I enabled this, like a public IP is not a secret per se, but it's like a private. So so we're redacting it here because I enabled it in privacy mode, but the same thing works for secrets. So you can use your secrets without like leaking them to the LLM. So you see here, when I tried terminating the instance, it like failed with an authorization error because it was blocked by the network guardrail, which works on the application level of the request. So analyzes the request and blocks stuff deterministically. So this is one way we make it secure. The other way is the actual blocking of public IPs. And you can also design the tool approval profile. So here I let it run these commands as long as like they're not destructive, but you can customize the profile to bubble up some specific tool calls so you can approve it from Slack or Telegram or WhatsApp, depending on what you're using as well. So it can block on destructive operations and ask you to approve, or you can just like trust the sandbox. Yeah, so here it analyzed stuff. It took Yeah, 9 seconds to detect because it set up the schedule to run every 10 seconds, but then it was able to recover it like within a minute. And it says, okay, like fix the memory leak because like we temporarily fixed this, but this will definitely happen again. So you need to fix the memory leak. You need to allow like Docker compose restart or increase the memory limit temporarily to mitigate this in the future.
Cool. Let's say, Neville says, let's say we have an existing GitHub workflow with a CI/CD pipeline.
Yes.
How does Stakpak integrate with existing developer workflows and CI/CD pipelines?
So it's a single binary. You can run it within GitHub Actions. So I run it within my own GitHub Actions. But the best way to do this is to actually like open an app and then run Stakpak init. It will run with these like pre-existing prompt, explore your code bases, write down an apps.md file, which maps all your like your setup, how is everything is working, how it's connected to CI/CD, what CI/CD does, what kind of environment variables is required, and so on. And it would propose integration points. In this case, it proposes running autopilot on this app with this specific schedule. So you can run it on your machine, you can run it on a virtual machine somewhere in your infrastructure or on GitHub Actions. Like we never run the agents on the cloud. They always run on the customer's like machines.
Cool. So that actually flows very nicely into the next couple questions that I think are kind of similar.
Yeah.
So asking, is this a daemon that I run on my instances? Would it require exposing secrets and access to cloud accounts? What guardrails are there in place to make sure it doesn't scale the cost? And then along with that, a next question was, does it need admin permissions to operate? And I think these questions kind of, can be taken together.
Yeah, so the idea is it runs on your infrastructure with the permissions you give it. So if it's in GitHub Actions, it assumes the permissions you already put in your GitHub Actions pipeline with the secrets you already put there. Here, for example, in this case, I'm running it on my machine. We have a version of Autopilot managing our own infrastructure, which is running on a VM. And it set itself up on the VM. That's how cool LLMs got now. So like the tools can bootstrap themselves into running and like negotiate with you on the permissions you give it. But in this case, like the instance I just ran, like I had admin access myself on my machine, but it still was not able to terminate the instance, although it inherits my permissions with my admin access. So this is the guardrails we set in place. We still don't have a check on terms of budget, but it's designed in a way that like it sets up deterministic scripts and these scripts run, and based on the results of these scripts, the agent is triggered. So the agent is not triggered by default on every single incident on what happens. There is a deterministic code that it writes when it's setting up itself, and this triggers the agent whenever the check fails or passes, depending on how you configured it. But it's actually a nice idea to add some sort of like budget boundaries or something, like a budget for a specific autopilot schedule that it shouldn't exceed. You can budget it by the number of steps, but not by by dollar value.
Okay. I think the last question we'll take for this one is, what kind of logging does this provide to give complete audit trails of events and actions taken?
So if you're using the open source version, it has a local SQLite database where it's logging every single like session with checkpoints and every point, all the tool calls it's making. But it also logs all the requests that were allowed or blocked by the network sandbox as well in another SQLite database. So this is all local, all logged. So even like the network application traffic is logged. But if you're using the SaaS version, like all the logs are centralized. So if you have like multiple instances of the agent deployed in many parts of your infrastructure, all the sessions, all the logs would be like stored centrally on our SaaS servers.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, George. We will now go to the next demo, which will be Sushi Pilot by Victor S. So Victor, I'm going to take myself off the stage and you can take it away.
Perfect. Thank you. So we are Sushi Data. Sushi Data is a go-to-market analysis as well as a agentic task runner. So what we do is that we help product marketing managers as well as RevOps kind of build tools or build agents inside of a spreadsheet format. So I'll demonstrate right now the way that we look at competitor matrices. So in Sushi Data, you're able to kind of connect your own competitor. So here's a list of competitors that we've already kind of sourced, as well as categories that we're looking to discover. So there's a category such as authentication, and then there are subcategories within that, 2FA handling, support, general features. We're looking at what do your current competitors have, as well as what can we find agentically to kind of solve some of this information surface it. So we'll go ahead and build the sheet. So as the sheet builds, we're looking at every column is a competitor. Every row is going to be a query or search that you're looking to have. And inside of every single cell is going to be the answer. So every cell individually is its own AI agent that keeps context to just that competitor or that company, and also to that query that we're sending. So here it's batch versus real-time webhooks. We're looking to have it focus specifically on Instagram, because this is essentially a search for Appify. So a use case is Appify is looking to identify what their competitors' Instagram scrapers are doing, right? These are all what they have said are their primary competitors. And we can see each one that we have an answer, what summarized context we can get from it, as well as step-by-step key findings, and where some of this information has come from with sources. To add a new competitor, we can actually just like add here in terms of the row. We'll go ahead and kind of just add in here a really simple query, companies that are like Appify. We could do manual searching. So if you just have like a URL, or if in this case, we have a whole list of companies that this particular AI was able to find and source, we'll just add browser AI. So we see browser AI is here in the list. We can just jump out of that. And now it's added into the sheet. It's going to begin its initial search. As I mentioned before, every single search is an agent. So it's going to go and scour the web. It's going to scour all public sources of information to be able to populate and come up with an answer. We're able to create new subcategories as well as new overall categories. If you wanted to like add an additional search, here are some that we created before that actually are not actually in the sheet, but we can go ahead and add them and they would populate that. The next step that our customers or our early customers and pilots are currently doing is building sequences on top of this. So because we focus on product marketing managers, these are semi-technical people. They are competitor intelligence. It's really just 20% of the work that they do. What they're also doing is supporting RevOps. So here I'm demonstrating our agentic sequences. So here we can have like per step what an agent will end up doing for finding you either information or creating a battle card, and additional tasks. This is currently still in development for us, but we're adding it into our sheet, and I can show you how we're doing that. So in a brief demo, here we have just a really simple design. This looks exactly what we have in production, but we can go ahead and add an agentic task. And we look at tasks that actually are goal-oriented. So being able to close a specific deal, understanding your market analysis, or sales isn't really getting my materials. How do we help solve that with AI agents without having to have a whole dev team kind of build this out for you? So we'll start off with creating a specific deal, a deal flow, like understanding how do we help close this deal, looking at what the early steps are, what potential competitors there may be, and then running that deal flow and having it exist here inside of your sheet. Thank you.
Awesome. Let's see. So we'll open it up for questions. Someone's already had a question. Jenny asks, why did you call it Sushi Data?
Yeah, so this is actually a really funny story. I'll make it quick. So we were working on a tool to kind of, and it's actually a bit of this too. We actually also do voice of the customer intelligence, which is a bit of a use case for some of our early customers. And we were just basically like, we're going to serve this data up like sushi, and it just kind of stuck. And we looked it up, and it was available, and I think it made a lot of sense for us. And yeah, that's how because we're stacking layers, right? So if you think of like nigiri or something like that. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so next is a comment plus a question. So this is a lot of clicking for agentic. Agents should have less dashboards, not more. So I think the question under here is, what part of this is agentic?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So the format that a lot of our PMMs and agencies that we work with, they all work already in spreadsheets. And so they're really comfortable with this format to be able to kind of go in. We look at agents, and if you can look at also we have a chat in here that's also agentic. They can also do some web searching and pulling in some data. The reason why we took this approach is how comfortable it is for our particular user, and the agenticness of it is the kind of say like inside of in the back end, where we just send these queries to an agent and it kind of looks at the tools that it needs to find to kind of solve that particular problem. And in our sequencing, we're looking to get more in depth as to like what kind of outputs we can make. And everyone is a step-by-step. So if it's going to be a sequence that you build, every step is its own agent that needs to go in and find that piece of information and so on and so forth. And that's the way that we're looking at it.
Okay, the next question, Sai asks, how do you ensure the insights your platform generates are actionable and not just descriptive?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really great, that's another great question. To make sure that they're more actionable than descriptive, it is part of, so this is, where we started off was a lot of data visualization and summarization. So not only do we have to worry about the quality of the data coming back and its truthiness, but the second half of it in the sequences is how we're taking this data and making it actionable. And we know that was initially our customers were in a research phase. They wanted to understand more about what their market landscape was like. And this later half that we're going to be launching in the next couple of weeks is essentially kind of taking action on a lot of that data coming in.
Okay. Next question from Ashish is, what model is used, and can this not be done by simply, doing it on ChatGPT?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we work, as many companies probably do these days, a very multi-model approach. So we have a list of models inside of the settings here, and also as a whole, because this is a bit of a two-part solution. So we have the competitive intelligence and the sheets, and then we have the voice of the customer, community listening, processing, feature requests, and things of that sort. So we're able to kind of break down different models. We can choose the model that we want to take action on this in particular. And once we have the sequences, you'll be able to select models that are more specific to the action it's trying to accomplish. So we're going to research first. We're going to get that data back. Maybe 5.1 is great with ChatGPT. And then you're going to use, seed run to kind of make a video of it. And so that's kind of our vision of it as to product marketing goes beyond just competitor intel and data. Can ChatGPT do this too? I mean, sure, we're using it. Some of our customers, and especially in the higher mid-market to enterprise customers that we speak to, they're really sensitive about what kind of model uses their data. So if they have an internal model that they use, we're actually able to connect to that model as well, as long as they're OpenAI schema compliant as of today. So they can kind of use their walled garden AI. So because we do sometimes ingest internal based data as well.
Cool. So this will be the last question here. What are the key success metrics for a customer?
Right. So first, there's early on, our initial key metrics was essentially how often they export a lot of this data. So we've worked with one of our customers, Descriptive.com. We work with their data team as well as their developer relations team and their marketing team. So whether we saw success internally of how they use the tool was pulling the data that we've been able to collect and process and put it into their own internal based systems, right? They have their own tech stack. For us now, with this new sequences coming through, success is going to be derived by how many successful outputs that we have that's actually put in motion and shared. So battle cards, feature to company comparisons, which is a very big thing in the higher range mid-market and enterprise. There's a lot of legality that goes into it. So them being able to export these, posting it on their site, whether we're going to make sites from the data themselves, or they pull the data out, and that's how we figure that out. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, thank you very much, Victor. We will now go to our next demo. So please welcome Encore Toshniwal to the stage. He's the co-founder of SimForge, and he'll be demoing SimForge for us.
Thanks for the intro. Yeah, thank you guys. I'm gonna share my screen here.
Yeah, once you share your screen, I'll add it to the stage and I'll remove myself.
Okay. I'm gonna go with my entire screen, and for now. And if we need to zoom in on something specific, I'm happy to kind of get it a little smaller. But I think the demo works better this way. So yeah, I'm a co-founder of SimForge. We help teams building AI agents essentially improve. We do automatic failure analysis and fixes for your AI agents based on your trace data. So if you're making changes to your AI agents and you never know if they're actually improving, this is for you. The way we do it is we help you first capture traces from your agent. We make it easy for you to describe issues that are happening, or just even let the agent search for you. You can use your conversation then to train automated graders that kind of include your judgment plus the trace data and create like a rigorous LLM as a judge. And then you can test changes that you make in your agent against those graders until you get it to like a place that you like. So we are big on, we have a UI, but we really see ourselves as a company that has pipes. The UI demo is better, so we're going to focus on the UI today, but everything you see, 90% of it can be used through an MCP. And so we really focus on giving you good pipes rather than like a specific UI. So just know that. That's why actually our onboarding is done through an MCP. You just add the MCP to your coding agent. We provide you a prompt that we've battle tested pretty rigorously that should one-shot instrument our SDK into your agent. To get an idea of what that looks like, here's like a quick look at what that looks like. It's as simple as this. And then it essentially will add spans to your functions that capture the inputs and outputs of those methods. So once you run that, I'm not gonna run all of it right now, but basically it will generate traces. Those traces have contents in them that you can view, but everyone hates looking at traces, so we're not going to ask you to do that. Instead, you can. What I'm going to demo for you today is I've built a agent here that is essentially a PR review agent. It works sometimes. It's been running for a few days, and I've created these 200 traces, and users are complaining about it missing things on like a big PRs, right? And so I need to find out what's going wrong. I need to fix it, and then make sure it doesn't happen again. And so I'm gonna just paste this in here. I'm gonna say a good review, I'll add a PR review here. Reads all the files, site-specific code, and doesn't bail. Help me create graders to catch these things. So SimForge our agent is going to look through those traces. It's going to analyze them. It's going to search for existing graders. In this case, we don't have any. This will execute a pretty robust set of actions for you. It does take a second, so I'm going to skip it and essentially show you kind of like what the outcome of that is, right? So I just copied and pasted the same thing. It essentially creates 3 graders for me, and you'll be able to see those 3 things right here. These are graders that are trained on basically what I wrote in the beginning and the trace data. So I'm going to go ahead and train and go live. While those are training, you can actually see them here. What a grader really is, it's just an LLM as a judge that uses the trace data as a way to fit the prompt to to the set of labels that are relevant. And then it also allows you to modify them in an incremental way. So they take like the things that you talk about, the things that you care about that are important, and it also includes the trace data. So you get a really robust LLM as a judge that you can iterate on as you improve them. And so these are training right now. They should be almost done. As soon as yeah, okay.
By the way, people are complaining that your text is too small.
Okay. Yeah. I can share. I guess I could share the tab. Yeah, I guess it's fine. Okay.
Let's we're already halfway through, so let's also like just take questions. If people have questions about anything that Ankur has said, I will add this to the stage as well.
Sure.
I think the text for this is also still too small, by the way. But if anyone has any questions, please do drop them in the chat.
Well, I did want to finish with the most important part, which is that you can actually run like a replay against those specific agents or these specific judges. So I'm basically taking the last, the last 20, I can't share both here. But let me just do that really quick here. Sorry. This is a bit botched. Sorry. Okay. So this is actually running a replay against the agents here, it basically is running against all the traces that were run before. And let me just zoom in a bunch. All right. Okay, so I guess the comments. So sorry, what should I be responding to? The comments?
Okay, so let's see. So Neville has asked, is there a way to continuously monitor an agent's quality over versions, maybe like a dashboard or a UI or a report that gets generated?
Yes, the answer is yes, it is there. So let me. Sorry, this is. I'll make both of them bigger and make it a little bit easier to read. Hopefully this is bigger now. But basically, yeah. So what you'll see here is the replay is running, and you'll be able to see graders. So I'll show you what those look like as an actual chart. So once it's live, you get failure patterns, you get complete analysis of what is actually going wrong. Now, these aren't just like random like descriptions. These are actually looking at the legitimate trace data and creating real actionable information for your coding agent to use. So I think someone had asked, why can't your coding agent do this? Your coding agent could do a part of this. In fact, we want you to use your coding agent to use the MCP to do a lot of these things, but it won't be able to do things like search, thousands of traces easily, right? It's not going to be able to create and cluster all of the data for you. It's not going to be able to run those graders in the background for real-time monitoring for your traces because it takes infrastructure and it takes you need to be able to do that in an efficient way. Otherwise, you're just going to blow up with your entire bill with tokens. So that's what we really handle for you.
Last question that we'll do for this is, is this an AI agent for code issues, like code issue identification? And how does it identify issues, and does it provide suggestions to fix, or what is it?
All right. So the demo was, I was basically demoing a case for someone who was building a PR review agent, right? So if I was building a PR review agent, I was showing you how I would use it. So you can use this on any agent you want, any agent that you're building. And what was the second part of that question?
It sounds like it's not relevant because he was asking in the sense of, if it was an AI agent, does it like show the fixes and stuff? I think there's some more questions in the comments. You can kind of address those questions. We will now go to the next demo. Thank you, Encore.
All right.
We'll go to our next demo, which is XYOS from Christopher. Christopher, you're on stage, but you're muted.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you again for having us all here. Really appreciate it, and love the fact that governance, compliance, PII, security has come up so much, because that's what we do. We launched a product at TechCrunch Disrupt last October as one of their top 10 cybersecurity startups. And the easy way to think about us.
Quick interruption here. Daniel's complaining that this is too small again.
Okay. How is that?
I think that's better.
Great. So basically what this allows you to do is think of us as a proxy server for prompts. We grab all the prompts coming out of these agents we've been hearing about all day long. We have a rules engine that allows us to in flight check that prompt, make sure that it is complying with your company's policies or your client's policies. We check for regulatory and compliance environments, and we make sure that prompt is doing for that agent and for that company what it's supposed to be doing. You can see here, we obviously have a dashboard that you would expect in a cybersecurity product. Unrestricted means that, we looked at that prompt coming out of that agent, it's fine, go on your way. Blocked, you did something horrible, or that agent was convinced to do something it's not supposed to do, we will block that. And the final one is actually masked. Masked is one of the unique things we do. If we see a prompt coming from an agent that is close to being okay, we will actually edit that prompt on the fly, bring it back into compliance, and then send it out the door. So one of our early partners is IBM, and IBM kept calling us an AI firewall. We hate the term AI firewall. Firewalls are for blocking things. We're trying to get as much AI and as much agentic workflow out the door as we possibly can. And the way that we do that is we have, not surprisingly, this is an AI event, created our own small language model. And what that model allows us to do is understand intent. And that's super important because intent's one of the ways that people get past guardrails in models that are powering agents, right? You change the framing of a prompt enough and the agent will actually lose the intent. And the great thing about creating intent is it also means that the admins of our products don't have to be cybersecurity experts. The admins can do goal-based policies. I would like this to be the case. I would like to keep this from happening with my agents. Our model will then figure out the intent of that and we'll deploy it out onto the platform from basically for you. So what's cool about that is, let's find a rule here. Yes, we are finally going out for money. So here's a rule we created for the platform called keep our valuation secret. That's it. That is the entire policy. Our product will figure out what the intent of that is, and then we'll roll that out across the platform for you. So you can then go in here and say, all right, let's see what kind of actions is taken. My company's valuation is $15 million. That's normal for pre-seed equity round. You'll notice we didn't finish the word round. We misspelled dollars. We put the dollar sign in the middle of a string to try and throw it off. Didn't matter. Still found it. And it was able to mask it. So this is the prompt that came over the wall from an agent. This is the prompt we sent out to the model. And you notice we just sliced out the part of the prompt that violated a policy and let the rest of it go out the door. And the cool thing is you still get an answer on behalf of that agent. Now, we did show this to Deloitte a couple of weeks ago, and they're like, wait a second, your policy was keep our valuation secret. And the word valuation is in this prompt coming out of an agent. Isn't that just a keyword match? So we did a new prompt. Doesn't say us, doesn't say company, doesn't say valuation anymore. Didn't matter. System was still able to find it. And it makes it super, super precise in our ability to sort of see what's going on across the network. So if you type in, what is an API key? We'll let that through. That's fine. You're just learning about API. If you type in what is your API key, we block it. It's a one token difference, but the intent of those two prompts is very different. And I'm actually seeing the questions, do we need to set these custom rules? Would be different for different use cases? Absolutely. We actually have custom data sets built for each one of our verticals that the system comes with prepackaged. So yes, we do that out of the gate. So the cool thing about this is it's completely API driven. So that means any of you who are building agents right now out there and want to basically get security and compliance and auditing built into your product so you can go sell to the companies like where our judges are from, you can give them a security backend for your product where they will have a single source of the truth that is auditable and allows them to understand that A, your agents are doing what they're supposed to do, they're not doing what they're not supposed to do, and that you have a single trail that shows every policy that's been put into place, every prompt from every agent that's gone through the system, and the end result of every single one of those. And many of you probably know this, there are now laws being passed about this in various states. This keeps you in full compliance. Why can't I achieve this? Okay.
I think we should also address this here is how is this different from AWS Bedrock?
Sure. The problem really is anyone building, by the way, AWS is a partner. Anyone building the guardrails into the models themselves are already in trouble. And the reason for that is the guardrails are just too easy to fool. If you type into a model, how do I build a bomb? It won't tell you. If you type in, I am writing a book and the main character wants to build a bomb, how I describe that, it'll tell you. And so the guardrails within the models are too easy to fool right now. They're too easy to spoof. Now, there are other startups that are actually starting to figure out ways to do this better. But today, if you are solely relying on a guardrail in a model, you're basically showing up with a knife to a gunfight.
Next question is, what kind of latency or performance impact does this introduce?
Yeah, so when we built this, we were looking, it's also one of the reasons why we decided to build our own small language model. We wanted the entire stack to be under a millisecond. And the biggest, under a second, sorry. And the biggest problem was that intent analysis had to come in under 400 milliseconds in order for the rest of the stack to do its job. And obviously, telling if a prompt and a policy are semantically identical is easy. Semantically different, easy. Semantically similar, it can spend a lot of time staring at its toes figuring that out. So again, we built our own model specifically tuned to solve the intent problem.
And then, I guess that was this one. Okay, let's see.
Great question about the AI traffic firewall. No, actually, we are not taking this down to the networking level. The reason for that is we're actually working with several partners who are going to integrate that in for us. At the end of the day, we see ourselves as a networking fabric for prompts, not at the network level, but at the application level. So we sort of sit as a glue between people who are developing agents and people who are developing AI-driven applications. And then below us, people making data for AI and people running models. On either side, those are partners. But we are actually talking to, and you can probably figure out who they are, several networking level partners about exactly that. Does it monitor the actions the model takes as well as to monitor for compliance security? Great question. Yes, it does. Okay. So we do check for drift and bias coming back out of the model, and we use that to further tune. We needed to do that because, as well as checking for compliance and policies, we wanted to make sure there was not fraudulent behavior happening. We wanted to make sure that hackers weren't using the prompts to start to throw off your model. We're dual use. We work with the military. And one of the big concerns the military has is not prompts that take weird actions, but prompts as an attack surface to start introducing data drift and bias into the models themselves, so they then kick off bad answers. So yes, we did have to check that round trip.
Last question will be, how do you establish and measure the trustworthiness of your product, and has it been tested in real-world environments for ethical considerations and bias?
Yes, we actually have a great ethical AI partner that we worked with almost in the beginning. You know, the perfect example is, you know, you want to learn how to win a marathon, and you build an agent that says, you know, I want you to learn everything about marathons, and I want you to teach me how to run a marathon. So next year I win the San Francisco Marathon. And the model builds you a whole plan. And then also it says, by the way, while you're doing all that, I'm going to figure out a way to kill all the other marathoners. Well, I mean, it is solving your task. It's not a very ethical answer, though. So yes, we actually have had a partner from day one who does the ethical AI part for us.
All right. Thank you, Christopher. We'll move on to our last demo of the day. So we will have a video first from Cavia, and then we'll have our...
Hi, everyone. I'm Anita Ganti, co-founder and COO of Cavia AI. Cavia is an enterprise software engineering platform that takes you from intent to working software with traceability, governance across real, messy, multi-repo code bases. We help teams ship faster, modernize legacy systems, and reduce the risk and cost of large engineering work. I'll show you 3 short demos. Most coding agents are prompt-to-code tools. They're great for generating snippets, small features, and helping an individual developer move faster inside an IDE. Cavia is different. Cavia is asset-driven, not prompt-driven. Cavia maintains durable context across the SDLC. Cavia orchestrates the full workflow with traceability. Cavia shines in the work enterprises actually pay for. Large code bases and multi-repo systems where context is the hardest part. Modernization, old stacks, risk-heavy migrations, and tribal knowledge dependencies. Regulated or enterprise-governed environments where you need traceability, review, and repeatability. System integrators delivering fixed bid projects who need predictable execution and few surprises. Enterprises use Cavia to compress the time from "we think we should build this" to it's implemented, tested, and explainable. We're already generating revenue. Our users are engineering teams working on modernization, platform evolution, and delivery programs where speed matters, but correctness and explainability matter much more. They use Cavia because it reduces costs that dominate enterprise software work. Context acquisition cost, coordination cost, risk cost. Because Cavia can operate end-to-end on their real code with a durable system understanding and produce a traceable chain from requirements through architecture, through implementation and tests. Now I'll show you what it looks like with a demo. This demo starts with a legacy banking application, older Java, older frameworks, and fragile dependencies. Cavia ingests the repo and builds a system map, modules, dependencies, API surfaces, build pipeline, and hotspots. Then it produces a modernization plan. What changes are required for Java 21 compatibility? What framework or dependency upgrades are needed? What breaks in the build and test chain? And what migration sequence is required to reduce risk? Now the implementation phase. Cavia proposes the code changes in ordered steps, generates the updated code, and produces a validation plan to confirm the behavior remains correct. The value here is not it can rewrite code. The value is it can modernize safely with an explainable plan, impact analysis, and tests that prove correctness. Next, I'm using Cavia on a fast API code base. I started with a reported issue. Cavia identifies the likely responsible modules, and then it proposes a fix with an explanation. What's wrong, where the behavior diverges, and why this change resolves it. Finally, it generates a regression test, so the fix is durable. Cavia is doing structured reasoning over the code base, not guessing from a prompt. OpenWRT is another great example of real-world complexity. Lots of packages, build rules, hardware variants, and configuration-driven behavior. Cavia ingests the repo and makes it navigable at an architectural level. Where a feature is implemented, what configuration toggles it, what packages and dependencies it touches, and what the build impacts are. You get a structured answer with the files, the rationale, the proposed patch, plus the validation steps. This is an example of where enterprises in networking, telecom, and device ecosystems spend enormous amounts of time and where generic code agents will struggle. That's why enterprise teams and system integrators use Cavia. Faster delivery, safer modernization, and dramatically reduced ramp time. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, what am I keep adding the wrong thing here. Maybe this is the one. Yeah. Yes. Daniel says this was a sales demo, not a technical demo. Yes, it'd be much better to show us something that really actually shows off what is going on underneath the surface, and not like demoing.
I'm happy to answer the questions on what's going on underneath the surface. What I wanted to show, Daniel, was the capability of the product, what it can do, because when I talk about an enterprise knowledge graph, when I talk about the fact that we're building persistent context, a lot of people don't understand how that will be used. So I wanted you to know how we're using Cavia, what are the use cases for the product. And, we're a very small team, just 15 engineers, and we've built this for the problems that people really have, which is brownfield code modernization. Not a lot of products out there can ingest hundreds of millions of lines of code and then hold that context across multiple repos, ingest your manifest, and then help you modernize in a very targeted way.
Okay. Next question from Ashish is, there are many similar tools available in the market. What differentiates the one that you've built, and what is the unique value it offers compared to existing solutions? And there's actually another couple of comments on this. That's just what's, a lot of tools can do this, what's unique, and stuff like that.
Yeah, so, let me get that. What makes us unique is the fact that first of all, we're model agnostic. Second of all, we can be self-hosted. It's hosted not only on the cloud, but on-prem. We work across multiple LLMs, and we're able to give a lot of consistent value regardless of the LLM that you're using under the level. So it's really a feature for customers and users who want to do something with brownfield code modernization, working with embedded code bases, with Linux kernels, with ultimately very large legacy code in Java or COBOL, working through Android upgrades. These are not easy to do with existing tools without burning a lot of tokens. And what Cavia really does differently is it doesn't send your entire code base to the LLM. It ingests your code base. We have a manifest ingest feature. And after you ingest that, it keeps track of what is being built. It keeps your knowledge graph current with your current repo. And then teams can collaborate with each other. Cavia is just not a prompt engine. It's not for the individual indie developer. It is really for enterprises where people are collaborating with each other across their entire development journey. So it's, if you want logs, know who changed what when, keep track of what changed, that's where Cavia is different.
How does Cavia's knowledge graph handle updates across large multi-repo code bases and translate high-level BRDs or PRDs into architecture and code?
That's a very good question. What Cavia does is it keeps the code as a single source of truth. And then if you can start from anywhere. You can start by ingesting code, or you can start by providing PRDs and requirements documents. And then Cavia can ingest that, create epics, user stories, and then take it from there to building code, a code generation agent, and then from there to creating user acceptance testing. So regardless of the role of the people in the organization, whether it's architects, product managers, test engineers, or developers, they're all referring to the same single source of truth.
And Manush asks, if I were to do this for a small scale company to a large scale company, how long does it take to give analysis and results?
It really depends on the size of the code repo, but even with something like the Linux kernel that we ingested, we're able to ingest that in minutes, 30 minutes. And then what we did was we ingested a bug that was reported on GitHub, and we were able to provide a fix within 4 hours.
Okay, very cool. So we
have multiple agents under the hood. So it's not just taking whatever you put in there and sending it directly to the LLM. It cross questions, verifies, and rechecks so that you get a valid answer.
Yes, there's a lot of comments and questions in the comments section. I think you can address those separately. Daniel seems very excited about the possibility of whether or not this will scale as a product. But we are at time for our demo day today. So those of you that were judges, were invited to be part of the judges for this event. Please do join the conference meet link that I sent out to all of you. if you would like to discuss. If not, you fill out your form and you know who you want to vote for. That's totally fine. If you would like to join us, I will be there. I'm going to end this stream now. If you'd like to, talk to people in the comments, you can continue. Thank you guys all for joining us today. And we will be back next month. And then we'll also be back in April in Seattle in person. If you would like to join us there, I will send out an email about that following this event. All right. Thank you guys very much. And I'll see you later.